Now this valley is really unique, but about 12 to 14,000 years ago, where the last moraine in the series of glaciers that melted from the southwest to the northeast, called the Fort Wayne Moraine. And basically, behind the Fort Wayne Moraine, the glaciers melted and formed Glacial Lake Maumee. We were a port city then for who knows how many thousands of years. And then for some reason that levee, that natural levee, that moraine broke, and not all the water, but a great deal of water from that glacial lake came flowing right through this area. It would have been about 50 feet deep and about a half-mile wide, and it stretches from here to the city of Huntington. When it tore through here, through that mega flood or that torrent that ripped apart this property all the way down to the city of Huntington, when everything was said and done, and the new lake front was now present-day Lake Erie. Between Fort Wayne and Lake Erie was that old lake bottom. And so that's where the Black Swamp formed. So the Black Swamp would not have formed unless, if this torrent didn't rip through here. So that's how we're geologically connected.
I'm Paul McAfee. I live in Fort Wayne. I grew up in Bryan, Ohio, about 40 miles northeast of here, which was in the Great Black Swamp. When I was a kid, it really didn't dawn on me that I was living in the middle of a swamp. In 1989, we ended up doing an R Day, and it ended up being the biggest recycle day in the nation ever. And then the next year was the 20th anniversary of Earth Day. So I gathered up all the people that were involved in the R Day from the year before, and we had a big Earth Day festival. It was at IPFW. We had music and food and all this stuff, and the governor, the old guard, started noticing me, particularly Jane Dustin. And I didn't know her at the time. I was just amazed she would even talk to me, because her and her husband were kind of in charge of every environmental activity going on, and not just here, but in the whole state. So she sat down with me and asked me what I thought, which was pretty weird. No one ever did that. Up till then, I was going around trying to get other people involved. I said, we should make a nature preserve that's really big. If it were 4 square miles, some reason that popped in my head, that would be the right size. 2 miles on a side. If you closed off the roads, you could walk down right into the middle, and all these critters that needed a lot of room would have a place to go. She said, I know the perfect place. So she gathered together 4 people, me and her, and a guy named Carl Hofer and Keith McMahon, president of the Fox Island Alliance, which is adjacent to Eagle Marsh. And Carl Hofer was a civil engineer. And he had drawn up plans to reduce flooding in Fort Wayne. One of the things was restoring wetlands out here. And what we did, we took a map, soils maps, of this whole area up to the county edge, and filled in green all the soils that were considered what they call hydric soils. And it made a nice little, or nice big wetland. I think about, in Allen County, about 20,000 acres. But then it goes all the way into Huntington County to the Wabash. And so that was our target area. And never knew it was out here till Jane pointed it out.
Yeah, so we have this really cool photograph from Tom Dustin from 1968. So I think it was right, I don't even know if there's traffic on 69 yet, but he was standing on 69 and he has this picture. It's 3 pictures put together, and it is all of this area totally underwater. It is a really cool network, basically, of these little islands of conservation. Here around Eagle Marsh, I think there's about 1,800 acres, because we are adjacent to Fox Island County Park. So our 2 areas together is larger than Pokagon State Park and a number of other state parks in the system. And we're like right here in Fort Wayne. So it's pretty cool. And we have really great birds that come back and all the great wildlife. And so in our mission is to protect and restore wetland habitats here in the Little River watershed, and also provide educational opportunities.
My name is Sam Schwartz, and I'm a volunteer here at Eagle Marsh. I've been a volunteer for quite a few years, and I enjoy it. I love being out here in nature. My wife says I come out here and play in the dirt, so I escape every once in a while and come over here and try to keep the invasive weeds. You know, if we allowed it, the cowrie pears, the garlic mustard, the Japanese honeysuckle, on and on, they would take over, and we wouldn't have any natural substrate, which is what the birds and the pollinators and everything depends on. The eagles, you know, they wouldn't be here if we didn't have water and fish and so on. I feel very thankful, especially in these times. I can go out the back door, walk through the woods, cross the canal, walk the canal, and I can look to the east and I can see the trees over here from Fox Island and Eagle Marsh. And I can look on a good day maybe to the west, and I see the eagles flying back and forth. I see the great blue herons flying back and forth. Well, I think we've come a long way, and we've done many things the right way thanks to the people that are here. And I just would like very much to see my grandkids be able to come out here in, 50 years and say, wow, isn't this wonderful? Look at it. A lot of people really miss getting out to a place like this. And we are so fortunate to have a place like this, where you can get in your car and drive in here, or you can ride your bike in, or you can walk. I see people out there in the, I go down Engle Road sometimes just to look at the birds over there in the mitigation pond. And I'll see cars parked over here, lots of cars, and lots of people hiking along, the Continental Divide Trail with their families, and I think that's wonderful. You read about the people nowadays, because of the virus, they get cabin fever, they want to get out.
So when this was farm ground, you'd have your typical species like the red-tailed hawks and the deer, common rabbits, fox, that kind of area. But then in the spring, when the farm fields would be flooded before planting and all of those things, you'd have the migratory ducks coming through. Always mallards around, Canada geese, that sort of stuff. Since we restored the marsh, we see more ducks, we see more flocks. The flocks are bigger than they ever were. And that's not just the Eagle Marsh thing, that's also the restoration of Goose Pond and Kankakee Sands and the Healthy Rivers Initiative and all of these different large-scale landscape restorations that are taking place in Indiana. Birds that have returned to the marsh and call this home, we've documented over 240 bird species now. Eagle Marsh and Fox Island is known as a birding hotspot with Indiana Audubon Society, and we're on the birding trail in Northeast Indiana too. Well, just think, Eagle Marsh, this valley that we are in, directly connects the Mississippi River and the Mississippi Flyway to the Great Lakes. Like, this valley was a huge migration tunnel pre-settlement, right? I mean, this was so important. And so just restoring these small areas really is starting to attract them back. And here's a story. So 10 years ago, the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico happened. Weeks later, the first pelicans, white pelicans, were reported here at Eagle Marsh. And since then, first it was just a couple, and then there was a couple small groups. And then just maybe a month ago, we had 57 white pelicans here at Eagle Marsh for a couple days. We get northern harriers. Northern harriers are prairie species that need these big, wide open habitats because they're also called a marsh hawk, and they just fly real low over the grasses.
Eagle Marsh, I do remember we're sitting around at a board meeting thinking, what's your name be? What's your name be? Somebody, some names popped up and somebody said Eagle Marsh, and everybody just thought about it and said, yeah, and that was it. And we knew there'd be eagles here someday. I mean, that was long before there were eagles around here, and here they are.
I will tell you hands down, if it wasn't for Paul McAfee, Eagle Marsh would have never happened. Because he was the one, and I don't know all the stories, but I know that he was the one where, when you go to a project, there's always hurdles, there's always challenges. And somehow he was able to find ways to jump all of those hurdles, all of those challenges to make it happen.
Well, I think there's still a lot of opportunity. One of the things about this valley is you can't really develop it because it's just too wet. So I think there's still a lot of opportunity. I think, this can be made much larger. I think, we can get to 20,000 acres.
Our original mission statement, had 3 terms that we've kept with it the whole time: protection, restoration, and education. Those are the 3 words that have always been involved with our mission statement since the beginning. So one other thing that our hope is, in 2016 we developed a 10-year site plan for Eagle Marsh here, and that included putting in trails for accessibility, so we got that started last year, and then also to build a wetland education pavilion. I don't know how soon that will come to pass.
I'm hopeful that the farmers and the landowners will continue to cooperate with people that want to see the land. I think we need to be spiritually and emotionally and physically rewarded with natural landscape.